This is Bob Mayer, and welcome to another video in my survival series. This one covers knowledge. You don't see this very often when you look at survival books or what people put on social media, but knowledge is the most important thing you need in order to survive. And we just simply can't remember everything we're supposed to know. So that's why I'm a big fan of having a survival library. I initially focused on print books when I did this because I figured, well, if I'm in a real extreme situation, power is going to be out, how am I going to be able to read an ebook? But I realized that was bad thinking. If I got all these books in both print and ebook, and the ebooks, I make sure you download them and you have them on your phone and on your iPad or whatever else, your computer device. You don't want them up in the cloud, but then you have them with you wherever you go. And you can recharge your phone or your iPad even if you don't have Wi-Fi or a signal using small solar handheld. I have a lot more about that on my solar presentation and other places. Okay, but the big thing is make sure you download them, okay, because you don't want to need them and then they're up in the cloud and there is no cloud anymore. First book is When Technology Fails. This is a great book for rebuilding after the initial emergency, if things have really gone to crap. But it's also useful in day-to-day living if you want to look up how to do something kind of the old-fashioned way or do it yourself. The SAS Survival Handbook, we worked with the SAS when I was in 10 Special Forces. I recommend it, even though later on I have my own survival book, the Green Beret Survival Prep and Survival Handbook. This is just a little bit different. He does some things a bit differently, and I'm a fan of having different points of view on things. Plants, I can't identify plants worth a damn. My wife's very much into gardening. She can, but because I can't, I use these books to identify them. There's also apps that will identify plants for you, but that's another presentation. And all those apps are listed on my website as we'll touch base later. Plants you can eat. This book is good for that. Fishing guide. I'm not a big fisherman, so I don't know very much other than throw it in the water, but this will walk you through a basic fishing guide. I always think about the fact that a boy survived up in the Sierras where the Donner Party died the year before them. He got stranded up there and he survived by fishing in the lake, something they didn't think of doing. Gavin DeBecca's Gift of Fear is an excellent book about day-to-day living and how to avoid violence. It just teaches you how to be more aware of your environment. My area study workbook, I think it's kind of unique. This was a passion project of mine. It's what we used to do in Special Forces before we deployed places. We would totally evaluate where we were going and what's going on. I think you absolutely need to do this wherever you live. This will focus your preparation. It will allow you to see what assets you have in your area, what threats you have in your area. I actually use this. I do an area study. We're thinking of moving. Wherever we're thinking about moving to, I do an area study of the area to see what the threats are. For example, there was just an article today that State Farm is not going to insure any places in anything in California. Well, that's because of the earthquake threat and also the wildfire threat. So do you know what your threats are where you live? I read this book as a kid, loved it. I recommend it if you want to get your kids into thinking about survival. It's a fun story, but it's also a survival handbook, how he manages to live out there in the wilderness. This is a good book, not just for survival situations, but for emergency medicine. My preparation and survival guide, what's key to mine is I think the preparation phase. I walk you through this. I have your tasks numbered starting from 1 all the way through the end. And if you start from 1 to the end, then you'll be very, very well prepared for any possible disaster. This red box on my webpage, if you click on that, you get a document that has all these books on it. It has all the free apps I've listed, web pages, and all the survival gear that I talk about. There's my 5 survival books. A Guide to Great Disasters is kind of more about bigger picture thinking. My little black books are fun. They have a lot of trivia, knowledge in them. I have a survival little black book. And this is my web page.